Welcome to the Three-Man Weave Show, hosted by SportsbookReview.com. Three-Man Weave is back on this Friday morning. Looking at a good slate of games today. Jim, Matt, Ky. Jim, Vegas. How's it going, man? Takeaways.
Oh, man. It's wonderful. Ky, I'm zeroed in on the postseason that we've already started, and out in the Horizon League. Antoine Davis, holy cow. He had 46 points, guys. What a wild performance. Nobody else on his team had more than 14, but they still won by 10. He was 16 of 26 from the field, so this is a hyper-efficient 46 that he put up. And that's as good as you can do in the postseason. Well, what a beginning to that run in the Horizon. Hopefully they live up to my three-man week prediction that they'll win the tournament.
Yeah, hey, I'll stay right there for my takeaway, Jim. Ky, you talked about this last show. Guards win in March. It's a cliche narrative, but it doesn't make it a wrong narrative. And we saw Purdue Fort Wayne yesterday, led by Jared Godfrey, Jelon Pipkins, just basically take over that game down the stretch. They went punch for punch with the Phoenix, but very impressive win by John Kaufman and the Mastodons going on the road. Teaser, I will be riding this Mastodon wave. I think they're an auto bet until they lose, up until the Horizon Championship, if they get that far. I just kind of like what I see from this team. They haven't defended all year. It seems like they're somewhat engaged on that side of the ball now. I like the Mastodons. Kyle.
Yeah, my takeaway is Michigan, guys. All hail Michigan. This team is awesome. That game was fun to watch. Michigan obviously blew Iowa away in the second half there. Franz Wagner's a pro. Yes, that's the player I was most impressed with in that game. Super long, just does everything. His defense was awesome too. So Michigan, clear number 3 team, I think, for everybody in the country now. Before we get to the rundown, guys, please remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, SBR Sports Picks, and go to sbrpicks.com/NCAAB for more college basketball content. Let's get into the rundown. Let's start our Friday show. Purdue at Penn State is where we go first. Penn State -1 right now. Guys, Penn State may be the best 8-12, 5-11 team ever. 36 in KenPom's kind of wild for the record they're sporting right now, Matthew. Purdue's up to 10-6 in conference, and they've been very good lately. Who do you have in this one?
I was hoping Penn State would be bet up a little more. I had Purdue as a slight favorite. I probably should come in at the current price with Penn State -1, as I'd see it painted across the board per SBRodds.com. I mean, Purdue, we've been talking about it for about a month now, right? I think they've made our predictions come to fruition, surging at the right time. The Penn State's very feisty, and they create sort of a mismatch hiccup for the Boilermakers, but their ability to play more, perimeter-oriented. They can play 5 out at times if they have to. But, Jim, I'm a little worried about John Harrar, my boy, John Harrar, having to guard Trayvon Williams. That could be a mega mismatch for the Boilers up front.
Yeah, I think both sides have relatively easy-ish routes to points here with the way Purdue can dominate the paint, whether it's Edey or Trayvon Williams. But then Penn State's pick-and-roll game is one of the best in the country. They've got a bunch of dynamic ball handlers. And honestly, if you pull Edey and Williams out of the paint like that, it's tough. You get them on skates, get some downhill driving lanes. They're going to need to hit some shots still to loosen up the Purdue defense. But, without knowing what tempo is going to be in this one, I think both teams can score efficiently enough to maybe have the over be an interesting angle. Sidewise, though, I like Purdue as well.
Yeah, I'm leaning Purdue as well. The interior advantage is huge here. I like Harrar. We all like Harrar here, but it's just too much size for Purdue here. Penn State does force a lot of turnovers. Certainly their best path to scoring would be forcing steals against Purdue's guards, get out in transition a little bit. Short spread, -1 Penn State. I do lean towards Purdue here. Seems like most people will be on that side, so maybe caution on that one. Yeah. Next game, here we go. Richmond at St. Louis. SLU, Billigans. Matthew and I are from St. Louis, so kind of our hometown team. SLU's at-large hopes are done, though, guys. They really haven't been the same since COVID, especially Yuri Collins, the electric sophomore point guard. And Jim, Richmond really has a chance for an at-large bid still. They need this game. A win at SLU would be huge. Are you surprised the spread's 4.5? It seems a little bit high to me, just first glance.
Yeah, it feels high. This feels like a coin flip to me. I called this on our podcast an at-large elimination game. And, maybe St. Louis is already eliminated, but Richmond still has an outside chance. Their Kentucky win is starting to look a lot better, so that certainly helps the resume. Yeah, 4.5 feels a little high. SLU has not played a great game recently. Back at home, maybe that helps, but the precision execution offense of that Princeton style for Richmond certainly maybe cause issues for SLU. Yeah, it feels like a little bit too many points. If it was 5, I might consider an official show play, but nothing at 4.5 for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one. I think the odds makers have SLU rated, a slight perch above Richmond, right? I think given the spread, it hovers around 5 right now. I think we said preseason, these two teams were about equal, and Richmond was a perennial favorite pick to win the league preseason. Then St. Louis comes out scorching hot, really impressive in the LSU game. They control NC State down the stretch, beat a very good Indiana State team, and then since they went on pause, and I think we all kind of they had that majesty still, sparkling. They come out of it. We started to see them look more mortal. I think there's a case to be made that SLU is overvalued right now in the markets. I would lean Richmond, if anything, but I'm still kind of jaded, or I guess enamored by that first month of the season that how SLU played, which is baked into my current number for them.
Yeah, guys, I'm leaning Richmond. The spread's a little too high. I still think SLU's really good. I think SLU will win the A10 tournament still. That's my prediction here because their at-large hopes are squashed at the moment. SLU won by 16 last year, by the way. If we want to do like a quick comparison, Richmond could not score. Maybe that's an indication.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a point in SLU's favor. They are almost the similar teams year to year personnel-wise, but obviously this year is quite different than last year.
Worth noting, Grant Golden is going to play today. I know there are some question marks about his availability. Just a reminder on that one.
Yeah, Ky SLU plus 245 at DraftKings to win the A10 tournament there.
I think it's the best value on the board. Why wouldn't you? Moving on, North Texas at Marshall. Marshall 3.5, 4-point favorites here. North Texas still has a shot at first in the conference, but Marshall's actually the highest ranked team per KenPom. Both teams have had 2 weeks off here. It's the best offense versus the best defense in the league. Matt, can North Texas stop Marshall's electric offensive attack?
I hope so. I mean, we know two things, right? Grant McCasland, he talked about it in a bunch of the articles leading up to this big matchup here, who they've had, over 2 weeks to prepare for. So you give Grant McCasland, a great coach, that much time off, that's usually a pretty good bet. You look at the last 3 years, his ATS record, one of the best in college basketball. They're going to control the tempo. They're not going to let Marshall get anything in transition. And Marshall makes shots, and I think the spread's about accurate. But, I don't want to, I know Wonka's trolling us for using the old, this should be a pick 'em, take the points. But I do think North Texas is, as good, if not a slight notch above Marshall. And I'm just not ready to allot 4 points of home value here to the Thundering Herd. So I will be on North Texas. And on a whim, I'll make it my best bet because I'm looking at my slate right now, and there's awfully slim pickings. Mean Green +4, best bet, locked.
Interesting, Matthew. I was reading up on a Marshall article yesterday. They're very cognizant of the fact that they lost their home conference opener to North Texas last year. They sound angry. They sound motivated.
Okay.
But matchup-wise, D'Antoni sounds concerned about Zach Simmons. Just the fact that this is a thinner front court. There's no Iran Bennett in the middle for Marshall, so they don't have somebody that can guard him, but they don't want to have to double. And we saw against Charles Bassey, they got kind of torched. I think he went for 46 combined in the 2 Western Kentucky games. So Simmons could have a big day inside, but it sounds like Marshall's willing to allow that. They're going to have to knock down shots, though, and if North Texas controls the tempo, that's a big, big plus for them because Marshall they usually thrive on running. So I'm conflicted, Matt, but I wish you well.
Yeah, I think North Texas, too, has the athleticism, the guard size, the perimeter size to kind of bother Marshall here.
Yeah.
We'll see how they do in that transition attack. Could go. I agree with Jim. It's kind of a tempo battle. Whoever wins the tempo wins the game, covers the spread here. North Texas offensively, not great. Marshall's a sieve defensively, so there's not going to be really a big advantage there either way on that end of the floor. It's going to be all focused on Marshall's side of the ball. I do lean towards North Texas. I actually think this series is going to split. I think one team's going to win one game, the other the next.
If North Texas loses this first one, I will be on them pretty big in the rebound. Yep.
Moving on, UC Santa Barbara at UC Riverside, a battle in the Big West. Santa Babs -3 here. Both teams have been pretty good this year. Barbara 10-0, Jim, in the Big West since dropping to UC Irvine to start the year. Riverside, I said, has been great. Credit Magpayo, their new coach, for that run. Who do you like in this game?
Man, I don't know. UCSB's been awesome, like you said. I think they're 9-3 against the spread since that Irvine series. Really just been terrific, both against the number and straight up. But Riverside's the strange combination of massive size and also a ton of shooting. You normally think, okay, they've got a ton of size. They're going to pound it inside, try to own the paint, try to own the glass. It's not really the case with their offense. They like to fire away, and they've got some guys that can do it. I think I think this one ends up being a split as well. This is probably another one just like the North Texas Marshall where I'd look to come in on the team that lost the first one, which is surprising because UCSB has only lost to Irvine in conference. But I think Riverside will get them in at least one game here.
Yeah, I think the price is right. Sitting at a field goal right now at most books per the SPR odds page. Home court is essentially what 1.5 points, about an hour away, both in the LA area. So no big advantage there. I think you guys hit the matchup points. Just curious to see the total bet up from 130 to 132. I think anecdotally it feels like the unders it seems like this will be more of a rock fight. The immovable object meets the immovable object, but it is still a low total even though the early steam has pushed it up.
Yeah, Riverside, their offensive game is pick and roll and shooting threes. Gaucho's one of the best teams in the country at taking away the three ball. They're pretty good at guarding the pick and roll. But Riverside's just been excellent in that action all season. Kind of a push comes to shove moment for these two teams. I agree with Jim, though. I think it's going to be a split series. So maybe look to get the second leg in this series here. All right, let's hit round one of Chat Mob questions. I'm going to Jim Root, the chat czar. What do you got?
Oh, I got a lot for you, Ky. We have got a full bushel. Lots of people want to know about the early tip Drexel at James Madison. That is an afternoon tip here. Lots going on here. Drexel off a long
We're going to
COVID
spoil
pause.
this one, Jim?
Oh, I can't remember. I didn't remember that you had a best bet on one side of this game.
That's all right. We can spoil it right now.
Let's wait. I like teasing the people. Okay, let's go to Saw Memorial with Grand Canyon at Seattle. This is a Big West battle. Definitely a huge size difference between these two teams. Matt, do you see anything as the quicker Seattle or the bigger Grand Canyon?
Man, I don't know. I watched Grand Canyon bully Cal Baptist up front, and Cal Baptist, a phenomenally well-coached team. They did everything in their power to kind of zig and zag around those twin towers up front that the Lopes will throw at you. Did a really nice job, got the win in the second leg. I'm not sure Seattle has that type of they don't have those bags in there, those tricks up their bag. So I don't know. Trammell's an awesome guard. He's phenomenal, but I think there's too much on the Grand Canyon side here.
Say one thing here. I think this spread was even higher for New Mexico at Seattle.
Yeah.
Or New Mexico State rather. And I think Grand Canyon's clearly the better team this year. So I do lean towards Grand Canyon.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And we saw Utah Valley kind of get away from them late with a similar roster construction. So, all right, let's keep moving. J.A. asking about a rematch in the NEC. LIU at Bryant. An interesting one for postseason implications. LIU needs a win to feel safe in the NEC tournament. Only 4 teams qualify there. Bryant, meanwhile, in the hunt for the 1 seed. Ky, anything for you there?
Surprise this game. Oh, this game actually did close around 5 or 6 yesterday. It opened, I think, around 8 yesterday, 6 right now. I was thinking about LIU yesterday. Didn't pull the trigger, thank goodness. This Bryant team can just go. I had nothing in this one here. I don't want to back LIU. Again, Bryant they can blow out any team in the NEC. They're that good, I think, this year.
I might take the over. 79 possessions, and I don't think either team really shot the ball particularly well yesterday. I know it's a back-to-back, but I think the over actually could be a good play today.
Okay, let's go to the Missouri Valley for one game here. Matt Winnick said one of his favorite bets is Missouri State today at Evansville, -5.5, -6. Matt, you're a Valley expert. What do you got for us?
I wouldn't quite fancy myself an expert per se. I actually leaned the other way at the opening line. Evansville, I think I'm worried I overreacted when they got Jawan Newton and Samari Curtis back. They seem at this point too reliant on making shots and too reliant on keeping the pace to a halt. It feels like they're always sort of swimming against the current as a dog in these matchups here. So I want no part of it. Missouri State's the better team, right? More talented, definitely a cut above, but no play for me here.
All right, keep going, Matt. I'm going right back to you because this is your darling, maybe the most darling of all teams for you in the country. I'm curious if you know who I'm talking about. Jules Vids asking about GW at St. Bonaventure, your Bonnie boys. Big spread up around 15 here.
Yeah.
You see either an edge on either side?
No, I think the number's about right. GW very impressive coming out of the COVID shutdown without, I believe, Chase Parr and one of their other key starters there. But the freshman Lincoln Ball and some of the other guys have stepped up. But the Bonnies are my Bonnies, and I would never dare bet against them at any given point or time.
There you go. All right, Ky, I'll make you the new Valley expert because Matt doesn't believe he is.
Ooh.
We got Indiana State at Valparaiso. I know you've kind of liked the Sycamore squad this year. They're a short favorite on the road. Where are you feeling this?
I have liked the Sycamores this year. Unfortunately, the spread's right where I'd make it, about -3. Valpo, you got to give them credit, man. They've been scrappy as hell. Like coming against Loyola, Drake earlier in the year, even down guys. This team, I guess credit Matt Lodge, quality coach there at Valpo. They've been better than I expected. I would still lean towards Indiana State though.
Yeah, lost Freeman Liberty in the offseason transfer market. Then now they're down Daniel Sacchi and Connor Barrett, two of their guards, and they have stayed feisty. Agreed. John Castro wants to know in CUSA, Rice and Louisiana Tech. Definitely an injury question for Rice. We don't know if Chris Mullins will be back, their best perimeter defender, also a key shot facilitator. I think Louisiana Tech can eat inside with Kenneth Lofton Jr. Matt, do you see the Bulldogs getting it done at home?
Yeah, I think there's easy avenues for both teams to score. I think Mullins should return. He was almost set to return in their last two series, but they kept holding him out. Rice, a team I think we've talked about, undervalued, a lot of offensive talent. If they get white hot from three, they can beat anyone in the CUSA. I think this sets up for a good matchup, but they're not going to stop Lofton inside. So points. If you want to take his side, you got to make sure Mullins is in there before you take Rice.
Yep, fair point. Extra game in the A-Sun. Jay Barry with North Florida at Stetson here. Interesting matchup with the way North Florida has their bizarre zone. Two teams that have shot the ball fairly well lately. Ky, anything for you here?
I've kind of been leaning North Florida all year. I've thought Stetson's been a tad overrated, but I'm not great fading them this year. So maybe I'm just not giving the Hatters enough credit. Lean North Florida. Having said
Hatters are talented. I think they're a buy low down the stretch, right? That sophomore class maybe underachieved so far this season.
All right, we got a 3-pack from Ray Paez, and then we can go back to the outline. We are going to save one of them, though. We're going to holster the Arkansas State at Arlington game till the end. That is a best bet. Before that, though, we got two games in the MAC. Rider at St. Peter's and Manhattan at Siena. Ky, I'll let you get a pick of which one you want to talk of between those two, and then Matt, you're going to have to deal with the leftovers. So Rider at St. Peter's, Manhattan at Siena. What do you got?
I would lean St. Peter's. This Rider team, they're just not very good. I mean, St. Peter's not great scoring the ball. No team is in the MAC, but I think they can do enough against Rider today. I don't think Rider's going to score at all against St. Peter's defense. As usual, the spread's just always too high for me to be comfortable laying money with St. Peter's, but I do lean their way, Matthew.
Jim, what was the other matchup? I was 2-0'd in on the St. Pete. I had a great St. Pete take.
Matt, I know you have a take on Manhattan at Siena.
Oh, yeah, I'm on Manhattan. Thank you, Jim. It's definitely a close your eyes bet when you're at Manhattan. The team is atrocious offensively, but talk about how Samir Steer has really infused at least an ounce of shot making and offensive creation to that offense. I just don't think Siena is a great team right now. They feel broken. There's just something off with that bunch. It looks like Jalen Pickett seems disinterested half the time. Just a team I'm looking to fade. I think they were overvalued to start the year, and they continue to be overvalued now.
Yeah, their coach, Mascherello, has talked about, this team I can't get them to have a sense of urgency. And they keep pulling out games late, which really doesn't help. If they feel like they can just flip a switch and still win games, then I don't see how the urgency really develops. Maybe in the postseason, the talented Siena team we thought shows up. But all right, Amen, John Castro, Jim Bean, Captain Kiger, we've got your questions noted, and I will keep writing everything else down. We'll get to those later. Back to the outline, Mr. McKeon.
Back to the outline we go with a Mountain West matchup. Nevada at Utah State. The Aggies favored by 7.5. This is a huge game for Utah State. At-large hopes are hanging on by a thread. They need both these games, I would say, pretty badly. These two games against Nevada here. But Jim, Nevada's been kind of on a roll lately, man. 4 straight wins. They haven't played since February 7th. Is that going to be the factor that makes you swing towards USU?
I'm nervous here, because off the shutdown for Nevada, I was like, oh, okay, Utah State, big motivation spot. They need to win for NCAA tournament purposes. But I don't know about Raleigh Worcester. I don't know his health status for Utah State. They definitely missed him against Boise State as a creator, as a shooter. And Nevada is similar-ish team to Boise with a bunch of guys that can make plays. I mean, Sherfield and Cambridge in the backcourt are about as dynamic as it gets on the West Coast. So I'm probably staying away here with a lean towards Utah State, just with the combination of that shutdown, playing at altitude. But they've been feisty. Nevada has been feisty against the top 4 in this conference, Matt.
Yeah, just from reading about the shutdown, Jim, sounds like they've been practicing mostly individually the last week with 3 days of full contact group practice. That actually sounds better than most COVID shutdowns for Nevada. So maybe it won't play as strongly against them. I just think it's a bad matchup. I think Utah State has size all across that front line. Nevada's been sort of effective with that identity shift that Alford's made this year away from his typical guard-oriented teams, a little more of a 3 out, 2 in, more beef up front. Utah State negates that completely. I don't see any way they stop Keita from either scoring or triggering the offense as a sort of an outlet passer there.
Have we talked Raleigh Worcester? What do we think? Is he going to play for Utah State today or not?
My guess is no. He was in street clothes and a boot last weekend against Boise, but maybe he's got a miraculous comeback in him.
Yeah, even without him, I still lean towards Utah State. Can they stop Grant Sherfield, who's been just an incredible player this season coming over from Wichita? I think they can. Craig Smith has excellent defense. It's the best in the league by far. They clamp down on the perimeter better than anybody in the Mountain West. They funnel guys into Neemias Queta, waiting with his outstretched arms ready to block shots. I don't think Nevada has an answer for Queta on the other end. I do lean Utah State. This spread's a little bit too high for me to officially take, but lean their way. Moving on, down the rundown, Bowling Green at Akron. The Zips, Akron, favored by 4 in this game. Coming off that really disappointing loss and bizarre loss to Ohio. Looked totally disinterested in that game. Ohio missing 2 of its best players. Bowling Green, Jim, maybe has their swagger back. 3 straight wins after 6 straight defeats. This team was supposed to be 1 or 2 in the MAC preseason. Do you think they get it done as a dog?
Yeah, I mean, they got embarrassed at home against Akron in the first meeting, scored 0.8 points per possession, just could not find a way to score against this Akron team. And, maybe you get a better defensive effort from the Zips after they were just completely thrashed by Ohio down 2 starters. Like you said, that was pitiful from Akron, to be honest. But yeah, I think I'm buying into where Bowling Green is at this point. I think they've been playing better. I thought Akron, with up against the wall for a potential 1 seed in the conference tournament, they'd be better against Ohio, but that didn't matter to them then. Might not matter to them now. Matthew, I think I have a lean towards Bowling Green here.
I do too. I was hoping the number would open and stay at 5. It seems like the odds makers are sharp, opened it and kept it. It seems like the market's keeping it around 4 right now. Bowling Green is just that prototype of team I'm looking to bet on this time of year. You look at preseason projections. We had them as our favorite top team in the MAC. Well, most other publications did. Underachieved all season. Now the light at the end of the tunnel is near. I think those type of teams who have underachieved are just good bets right now. So big picture take, applying it to a micro situation, I would lean the Falcons.
Yeah, game 1, Akron won by 12, controlled the whole way. Bowling Green's offense was terrible. I think they get back to playing up to expectations like they have been in the last few games here. Spread's a little bit too high. I don't fully trust them. Akron has a ton of talent with LCJ, Matt's dude, LCJ. But I'm leaning towards Bowling Green in this game. All right, next game before we hit best bets and then more chat mob. It's Drake at Bradley. Drake is -8.5. And Jim, we talked about yesterday, how on earth do you even cap this game? Drake is without its 2 best players, both of whom were locks for first team all conference in the Valley. Roman Penn, probably front runner for player of the year behind Krutwig. But Joseph Yusufu averaged 34 points a game in Penn's stead against Evansville. Yeah. Clearly there's talent there.
Have played terrible, quite frankly. So I'm a little concerned about the Braves here. I think Drake is in a much better position. Yesufu stepped in and was a monster. So a little bit of a lean towards Drake here, but maybe a lean towards the under too, just because both teams down key pieces. I can't properly cap this side though, unfortunately. What do you got, Matt?
Yeah, I was going to endorse the under. Did I cut out here? My feed currently just shows me looking at you too.
Same with me, Matthew.
We're powering through.
It. Sorry, I just had to address. Got to be transparent for the mobsters in case they see us squirming in our chairs here. Yeah, I think the under is a great play. I got bet down 137 to 135. I think Drake's looking to slow the tempo a little bit more without Roman Penn. Still trying to find their offensive identity. I don't know who's scoring for Bradley at this point. In terms of a side, that's a complete crapshoot. I mean, if you have a precise model that can, evaluate the cumulative value of 4 key guys for Bradley as well as the Penn thing for Drake. I mean, props to you. You shouldn't be watching the show. You should be making millions of dollars betting professionally.
I think Bradley's in trouble with Kingsby, Childs, and Nolan still out. You saw that 17-point loss against Illinois State. With those guys likely out again, plus Boya, it's hard to back the Braves even with 8.5 points. Drake's just better coached. Apparently still have a lot of talent. So I lean towards Drake, but I could not be staying more away from this game. All right, guys, we're going to power through and go to bets. Jim, what do you got for us?
Yep, starting us off in the Sun Belt, baby. Here we go. Arkansas State at UT Arlington. I am taking the home Mavericks -4. This is a team that's finally healthy. They've got their best three players on the court for the first time all season. They got Olame, Azor, Shahade Wells is still there, and my man KO, the big shot blocker. I think he makes things really difficult on Arkansas State, a downhill driving squad. Really need to get to the free throw line to score. And Arlington will zone them. And Arkansas State struggled to score against the zone. So between the health and the matchup, I really like Arlington -4 here.
Yeah, Jim, I'm with you on your side. I think you have the right play there. Matthew?
Yep, I mentioned in the chat, I teased I have only 2 bets today. I mentioned North Texas as my best bet earlier, +4. And I also mentioned Manhattan. I don't think I officially confirmed it as a show play, but I want to just lock that in right now. +10. I'll take the Jaspers in what should be a painfully slow, ugly, low-scoring game. If they can't stay inside 10 points, it's going to be an eyesore for sure. So that's my short slate. Ky?
Best bet right here is James Madison, guys. Yes. It's been talked about a lot in the chat. I hope everyone and their mother's not on this game, but I don't care. I think it's the right side. James Madison's -1.5 right now. Check me on that, Jim, if you don't mind. That's what I'm seeing on SBR odds. Guys, Matt Lewis is out, so caution.
Yep, 1.5.
Most likely Matt Lewis, James Madison's best player, frontrunner for the Colonial Player of the Year, is out. Still a well-coached, talented team. Freshman Terrence Edwards came in, scored 15 points off the bench when Matt Lewis went down against Hofstra. I think he steps into the lineup seamlessly here. They're number one in the CAA in turnover rate. Drexel, very, very shaky with the ball this season. JMU can really shoot. Drexel also off shutdown, haven't played since February 7th.
Yep.
I'm going with JMU -1.5 despite the injury concerns with Lewis.
Yeah, I think the shutdown's the big note. The Dragons haven't played in a while. We're not sure what their practice schedule has been like. JMU, solid. This is senior day. So even if Lewis doesn't play, I think there's going to be some high motivation for the Dukes.
Yeah, and that's big, Jim. Sorry not to pile on Ky's play here, but they have locked up the #1 overall seed and bye in the CAA tournament, have the Duke. So I think the senior night thing sort of negates that. So you still get like a strong, motivated, rah-rah Jay Madison bunch here, Ky.
Alrighty, let's hit chat mob questions round 2 before we head out. Jim, what do you got?
All right, going to the summit. Eamon asking about Omaha at Denver. Another one that's tough to cap here because Omaha has been ravaged by injuries. Marlon Ruffin possibly out. Wanjang Tut, their best forward, possibly out. We don't know for sure what their status will be. If everybody's out, I got a slight lean to Denver at altitude, but I just don't know what we're going to see with this Mavericks lineup, Matt.
Denver favored, Jim. That's all I can't get I don't care who's not playing for Omaha. Denver is favored. I'm looking to come in on Omaha if one of those guys pops up the lineup, Tut or Ruffin. If not, I'll probably stay away. But my God, don't bet Denver, folks.
Neither team's fun to bet, Matthew.
Yeah,
Neither team's fun to bet.
All right, John Castro in the Sun Belt asking about Louisiana Monroe at Texas State. Definitely a low-scoring game here, low total. Texas State games certainly tend to be. Ky, anything here? I mean, Texas State currently lording over the top of this conference. Yes. in the top spot.
Yeah, Jim. I mean, I tend to lean their way still. Like, why get in front of the freight train? But 9.5 is a lot of points.
Yeah.
Even for Texas State, they're not incredible offensively. Louisiana Monroe's not hopeless. But I am staying away from this game. I guess lean towards the Bobcats if you want a lean out of me there.
Okay. All right. Matt, Conference USA, Jim Bean is into Middle Tennessee at Old Dominion. 10-point spread here. Middle Tennessee's got plenty of injuries. Old Dominion, usually a grinding, slower offensive team. Is that too much for them to cover?
I don't love ODU as a large favorite. I guess I prefer Middle Tennessee as a large dog, but that's basically the only spot they've been in this year because they've been just so bad. I was kind of stubbornly betting on them last weekend. I put them on my no-bet list. I just don't know what I'm getting from that team right now. But I can't back ODU. I just don't think it's an offense that can score consistently or play at a fast enough pace to cover a big number with any sort of confidence.
I lean Middle Tennessee as well, Matt, but I am scared they can just lay an egg. They tend to do that from time to time.
Yes, they do.
They really do.
Yes, they do.
All right, Ky, I'm going to you for this one. See what you have to say today.
All right.
Tulane at Cincinnati. We did have a David DeJulius opt-out situation for the Bearcats yesterday. Tulane in a little bit, maybe a tough schedule spot going all the way from Memphis up to Cincy. What do you got here?
Yeah, so I gave out Cincy as a best bet elsewhere yesterday. right before, in fact, seconds before David DeJulius announced that he was opting out for the season. One of Cincy's best players. Cincinnati's 1-9 as a favorite this year. They haven't won by more than 6 points, more than twice this season. So very concerning all around. Tulane's also feisty as a dog. I still lean towards Cincinnati with Julia's out. We've seen so much randomness with players in and out of the lineup. Teams tend to play good the first game one of their key players is out, or bad later on. It's just so random, Jim, that I'm sticking with a Cincy lean in this one, for better or for worse.
I love the Ky stance today of injuries don't matter. I'm big into it.
I mean,
And do it.
Sometimes they don't.
I'm tired of playing whack-a-mole with Tulane. I fade them 3 straight games. They cover all 3. Back against Memphis out of shutdown. They score 45 points. So I don't know. Tulane's solid, but I can't figure them out.
All right, Matt. How about Fresno at UNLV? You were on the right side of leg 1.
Yeah.
Gary Nicotine wants to know about leg 2 here. Does the bigger favor that lost straight up bounce back with the running Rebs?
Yeah, I lean that way. I took Fresno as one of the show plays in that first leg. They shot the ball uncharacteristically well, and I've just sort of realized this Fresno State team's not that good. Any performance that they have, which is, they show signs of life, it's because they're either shooting well from deep or their opponent's going ice cold. I think they defend well. They still foul too much, and they don't have any offensive balance. It seems very, throw it at the rim, let's go, hope we grab it and put it back in. And I just don't like trusting that type of style. So I've downgraded Fresno State. I will not be on them tonight. I would lean toward UNLV.
Okay, we got 2 more here, I think. Leg Show and Nick Laloya asking about Wagner at Central Connecticut State. The second leg here, a couple guys said they're afraid of the reverse action after yesterday with Wagner winning by 20. Man, I don't know. CCSU feels like they're in a tough spot. They're down a bunch of players. I think there's some off the court issues with them, and they're eliminated from postseason competition while Wagner is still playing for the 1 seed in the NEC tournament. So I lean towards Wagner once again here.
Yeah, it'd be tough to bet Central Connecticut here. One of those teams I don't feel as good doing a zigzag, Jim, betting them when they lose second game.
Yeah,
last game of the year, maybe it matters. I don't know. Sorry, Jim.
Spreads all the way up to 10. We don't know who's going to be in the lineup for CCSU, so you got to keep an eye on that if you have interest in fading Wagner in this one. All right, last game. John Castro, another one out of the Sun Belt. Louisiana Lafayette, the Cajuns on the road at Little Rock, one of the most disappointing teams in the country, I think we would say. I am fading them once again. I think the Cajuns get it done on the road. This is a team that's playing better lately. They got that win over Arlington last week. And Little Rock, man, they are just a disaster. They have no guards. Noel is out. They don't have anybody to create shots, Matt. So I think as long as they hit enough shots to stretch out the size that Little Rock has, I like the Cajuns.
Yeah, one team is cracking. That's Louisiana. One team's completely broken and shattered, and that's Little Rock. Louisiana down Brian Ayu, their point guard. They're still trying to find out how to rejigger the roles in the backcourt. But Little Rock, as you mentioned, it has no guards. They don't even have any guards on the roster at this point because Noel basically pieced out. I think fading Little Rock is a profitable strategy down the stretch.
Yep, lean Cajuns.
All right, Ky, that's all I got from the chat mob, so I will let you close us out.
Well, thanks again, Chat Mob, for another fun-filled week. We will be back on Monday at 9 a.m. Central. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Good luck today on your Friday plays.